I'm Zach.
And I'm Lindsay.
And this is the Game Forum. Today we're going to be going over the Xbox Series X gameplay reveal event. First, we're going to be talking about the games, and then we're going to move into a more general discussion just about the event. I guess starting off with the first game, Bright Infinite Memory. What'd you think of this?
I thought this was pretty cool looking. Um, it has a very interesting style to it. This kind of like dark and grittiness. Um, I did think it was a bit different to mix in like melee combat with the weapon, like the gun combat and stuff. It looks like you'd be able to kind of go back and forth.
Yeah,
Um, it's got an interesting style to it. Like I said, this one looked cool.
it was a cool way to start it off. Something that was interesting that came out after the reveal was that this is actually a game made by one person.
Oh wow.
And so I don't know if that is, oh man, this guy's been working on this game for years, or it's, hey, next gen can allow developers to make games easier. They didn't really, they just kind of like, hey, this game has been made by one person. I'm like, well, is that to prove something about the console, or why is that important?
I don't know. And see, too, I wonder how long this game is going to be then. If it's
Yeah,
only made by one person. I mean, we got to see one cool little snippet of it, but if it's like a indie developer, really by only one person, how much gameplay do you expect to get out of this then?
yeah, it could be like a little 25-minute tech demo just to prove, like, hey, look, we got ray tracing and all this crazy stuff, or it may not even be a game that actually comes out. I don't know.
But no, I thought it was cool though.
Yeah,
Uh,
it was a cool start.
I guess moving on, the next game up was Dirt 5.
Yeah,
Uh, I'm not a huge car racing person. Looked kind of cool. I didn't really feel like this was next gen level though.
yeah,
It all looked, I mean, kind of just mediocre even for current gen stuff.
yeah. That's the general consensus about the reveal, all in all, which we'll discuss a little later. For Dirt 5, it just kind of it was like okay, it's the fifth game in the Dirt series. That's not the standout franchise from Codemasters. And then after the reveal, they did like an interview section where they interviewed some of the developers and I don't know if he was the creative director over the game or if he was the lead, whatever it was, but he came out and said that like we're proud to announce that we have Nolan North and Troy Baker voicing these characters in this game. I'm like, I don't. How does that matter? It's a racing game. Are they voicing like the announcers over the races? Or are they like the in the rally parts? Are they your partner that's going over the directions and stuff? That just seems kind of weird to be like, hey, we got two well-known voice actors in a racing game. I just thought that was odd.
Yeah, a little bit of a different kind of direction. I mean, hopefully the gameplay and stuff's so good. It's just I never really got into the dirt games, so it's not something I'm super pumped about anyway.
Yeah, it was like oh, okay, all right, well, of course there's going to be another dirt game. They're not bad, but they're just it's a okay entry into a mediocre to me series, in a racing franchise. But after that, they went into this game called Scorn. Now, this looked interesting, but one thing that really bothered me is that this game has been like announced since 2017. Like they announced this game forever ago, and then it just kind of disappeared, and then it popped back up. And it's made by Ebflow, I think, is the studio. It basically looks like Alien. Like H.R. Geiger just kind of like came back to life and made a video game.
I mean, to me, this is definitely some of the prettiest graphics out of all
Yeah,
the videos they showed. Um, but like, I didn't really get what all was going on. I guess it was trying to set up like a world and an environment, and it definitely looks very alien-esque, like with
yeah,
its architecture and style of crafting. Um, but I mean, it seemed almost more like a short movie than a game. I mean, I don't think any of this is gameplay. Like, it's all just showing off the environments and all this kind of stuff. Like, and it didn't really tell me what this game was going to be about at all. Like, are you playing as one of those creatures? Are you going to have to be killing those creatures? Like, what
Yeah.
is your part in any of this?
Yeah, it was interesting to see like, oh man, this looks, well, obviously it looks like, the Aliens franchise, but for me, I'm like, well, this was announced forever ago. This isn't a big, game that's being re-revealed. It's kind of just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's still coming out. And then yeah, it didn't show any gameplay. It didn't show it did nothing. There was no storytelling. There was no, I believe there was no voiceover. It was just kind of
No,
like, hey,
it's just quiet. I mean, there wasn't
yeah,
really any music or anything. It was just this is like a deadpan look at all this stuff going on, and I'm like, okay, like what is this exactly?
yeah, it was. I mean, it caught my attention because of how the environment looked. But that's like, is this? All I know is that it's a first-person shooter. But that was when it was announced in 2017. So I have no idea what's changed, and I'm curious, but it didn't really. They didn't explain anything, which was really sad.
Yeah, well, I mean, just by that trailer, I did not know it was a first-person shooter.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They did not make that clear at all.
No. I guess moving on, the next one is Corvus, and to me, like this one looked kind of like two different things, almost like the it's a space flight game where it looks like you're
Yeah.
having to be going through like a lot of little areas, a lot of neon lights, not really the best graphics. But then it looks like they tacked on this like story mode with this girl to like try and show off some of the graphics because it seemed like the cinematics with her and like looking at the ship and talking and all this stuff was really good. But then when they cut over to like the gameplay of like the ship going around and shooting other stuff, I mean, it didn't look the same at all. It didn't even look like it was running on the same engine.
Yeah, someone had pointed out to the developer, which I don't remember right now, but it was on Twitter. They had said like, "Hey, I don't even know how you pronounce. Is it Corvus, Chorus, or Corvs?" I
Chorvs. I'm saying Corvus. I mean, there's not an I in there. I guess that's how you
yeah,
pronounce it. I could be saying
I
it wrong.
yeah, I have no idea. But someone had pointed out saying like, "Hey, this looks like Control mixed with Star Fox." And someone from the development team like retweeted it, saying like, "Oh, hey, like yeah, I'm proud of what we made." But everybody was like, "Hey, look, we didn't say this was a good thing. Like you, like this, it was just kind of like like this is kind of what it is." But yeah, it was a very odd trailer that I didn't really like. I didn't really feel for it. It as we continue with these games, not a lot grabbed my attention, and nothing really explained,
Yeah.
what it was.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of that same way. Like, to me, it just looked like I guess a very Star Fox esque like space shooter. And then they filmed some other things or created some other animations to give it a story. It did not feel connected to me from what I saw of it.
Yeah, it was odd. And speaking of odd, the next game was Madden NFL 21, and this was like, did they even show gameplay? Because I felt like they just like, hey, look at all the games we made. We've gone from here to here, and then this guy who hasn't even been alive long enough, like the Madden franchise has been around longer than this dude is, and it was just like, oh my god, this.
Yeah, they put a big focus on Madden for this. Um, Like I get that it's a big franchise, but they
Yeah.
spent like a couple minutes of their thing just going over Madden and like the history of Madden and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, it showed like the newer graphics, but again, it didn't really show any gameplay. And the graphics, I mean, were fine. I mean, it didn't blow me away like, oh my god, it's like you know so much better or anything.
Yeah, and it was just, I don't know. It was very odd. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a sports guy. I know you're not a sports guy, but like when they could have made this like, oh man, we cannot wait for the next gen sports game. But it
Yeah,
was just like, yeah, Madden's going to be there. Don't worry. It was weird.
I figured that they would be showing off some kind of new event in the game, or some kind of new mode, or adding in something new besides just this is the next Madden game. This is what's going to be. We're going to have this feature in it. We're going to have that feature in it. Something like that. But I mean, I didn't see any of that. They're just like, this is the new Madden game.
Yeah, it was odd.
So the next one up on our list is Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Um, I like some of the gameplay elements in this. It looked pretty cool.
Yeah,
But the graphics on this, I'd say, are subpar for even current gen. This game looked old.
yeah, yeah. It did look a little odd.
But have you played the other Bloodlines games? I know you like some of the horror games and stuff.
No, I think the first Vampire game was PC only, and then I think they remastered it. I maybe for Switch. I don't know. I cannot remember. It's always looked interesting to me, but when they announced the sequel, I was like, well, I'll just wait for that because it's kind of like a pseudo MMO vampire game. It's like Cyberpunk online, but with vampires.
Huh.
And so like that, I was like, oh, okay, that actually catches my attention. But that trailer was cool. That was really creepy. Like the doll, like how the guy
Had them
made the
strung up
people.
like
Yeah,
puppets and stuff. Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
that was pretty unexpected. But I was like, okay, this is really cool.
Yeah. Another one I thought would look kind of interesting was Call of the Sea. And out of everything, this one kind of intrigued me the most. It definitely
Really?
wasn't the best graphically. Like, it
Yeah,
had its own kind of like cell shaded art style to it. And you're like stranded on this island and trying to figure out all these mysteries and stuff. It looked really cool to me. Like I said, it didn't really come across as like a next gen thing.
yeah.
Um, but it had a cool aesthetic to it, and it had an interesting story. And what I saw of it, I'm like, I'd be willing to play that one.
Yeah, it didn't really grab my attention. With those, like, I like exploration based games that tell a story, like, environmental storytelling. But with those graphics, not that they were bad, but just like that art style, it looked to me, it looked like a rare game or it looked like Sea of Thieves kind of. And so I was just kind of like, I'm sure it's going to be cool. But I don't know. It didn't really grab my attention. All right, moving on from that is the Ascent, which was like a cyberpunk asymmetrical, like twin stick shooter. It looked really cool. IGN is actually doing a monthly first for this game, where they're kind of like going deep on it, and they put a 12-minute gameplay video up, and I'm like, okay, well, there's some real gameplay, but this also isn't a game that you want to like when you want to show next gen gameplay a game like this isn't what you want to like rely on, but it still looked pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, definitely for what it was, it had a very cool aesthetic to it. And it definitely came across as something that would be possible on current gen,
Yeah,
but definitely looked a bit more refined, like a next gen title. Like, especially with that opening for the game, and then like actually seeing that still high level of detail in the backgrounds and stuff.
yeah, yeah. It. I mean, it's odd how many like cyberpunk style games are coming out, but it's also like it's a cool aesthetic, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be hopping on this train because they know with what CD Projekt Red is going to be releasing that it's gonna build a lot of people up. Like, oh man, I really want to play something like that. And to be fair, there hasn't been a game like that style in a cyberpunk world. So, I mean, kudos to them for doing something cool with a tried and true aesthetic.
Yeah, no, it definitely looked like it'd be an interesting one to try out, especially with friends.
Yeah. Did it say it had co-op or was there
It said play together, and it showed
okay.
like several people running around. So I'm assuming it's going to have a co-op mode.
Okay. All right. Well, good, because that did look like it'd be pretty fun.
Next up is the Medium.
Yes.
Didn't really show a lot about this game, but this one looked like it'd be one right up your alley.
Oh man. Okay. I've never been so excited and so disappointed at the same time. So this is made by Blooper Team. They made Layers of Fear, and they made the Blair Witch game. On the Blair Witch was exclusive at first to the Xbox One, but then it eventually came to the PS4. Layers of Fear was the same thing. They did an early access on Xbox, and then it released on Xbox, and then it came to PlayStation. So I'm cautiously optimistic about this because as of right now, it is only coming out on Xbox, which is what you know, launch exclusive kind of does, and then 6 months it may come out on the PS5, which is what I'm hoping because this is the score is composed by Akira Yamaoka, who is the creator of the Silent Hill music. So he's hardcore, like been with Silent Hill from the beginning, and so they somehow got him on this game, and it kind of takes the idea of Silent Hill, how like there's the normal world, and then it flips around, and then everything's all demonic and changed, and it just God this it there's no gameplay, but just the idea of a modern Silent Hill is so exciting to me.
Hmm.
It was it's definitely one that I'm going to keep my eye on for sure. And after that, we got Scarlet Nexus. Uh, this was interesting because I couldn't decide if it was a sequel to Astral Chain, which came out last year on the Switch, or Code Vein, that also came out last year for like PS4 and Xbox One. And then it's like, oh no, it's a completely different game. And I think it's being developed in house by Bandai Namco, which they haven't done an in house developed game in forever. But I mean, it looked. Well, actually, I take that back. It does look pretty cool.
No, it looked like it had a really cool aesthetic to it, and they're definitely going like all in with the anime style. But I mean, it had a very high level of polish.
Yeah.
Not
The,
necessarily something that would be like exclusive to next gen. Like I could definitely see this being a current gen game,
yeah.
but the speed of the movements and the cinematic, stylized slashes and stuff like that. I definitely
Yeah.
It's a very pretty game.
Yeah, and I like the music. I don't know if that was just a music choice for the trailer or if that's going to be like a good theme of the game, but I really like that a lot.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. Next up, we have Second Extinction. This one very much reminded me of Turok.
It's Turok and Left 4 Dead, which who could ask for more?
The only thing I saw kind of strange in this one though is it seemed like there was only velociraptors. Like they didn't really show any other enemy types. He's just constantly being bombarded by velociraptors.
Yeah, uh, I think they teased like it looked like a T-Rex at the very end, but that I mean that's still not like that super impressive.
Well, I just mean there should be like a little bit more variety in enemy types. I get that velociraptors are scary and everyone's like, oh my god, that sucked due to the Jurassic Park movies and stuff. And I'm sure that they'll probably have like a T-Rex and stuff, but I need to see a little bit more enemy variety. I mean, I don't want to be going around playing a 20-30 hour long game and there's only like two enemy types and one of them is like a boss you fight a couple of times.
Yeah, the one thing that has me a little worried about this is that they're toting it as, oh, this is developed by the team that made Just Cause. The team that made Just Cause was from the studio called Avalanche. Avalanche has three teams. One of the teams that worked on this game is the team that worked on Generation Zero, which was that game set in the 1980s in Russia and you fought the robots. And
Mm.
apparently it was like that was a pretty bad game. And so this is that same team
Oh
that are
no.
making this, but they're not saying it's the team that made Generation Zero. They're saying it's the team that worked on Just Cause, which is kind of truth because it is from the same studio. So that has me a little worried because it's pretty much the same thing. 3 player survive. It's just they're dinosaurs now instead of robots. But
Yeah.
I mean, it looked cooler than Generation Zero looked when it was revealed. So they got that going.
Yeah.
So Yakuza 7. Now this is kind of cool because Yakuza has generally been tied to Sony. I don't remember the guy's name, but the creative director who he basically made the Yakuza franchise. He actually went to Xbox and Nintendo first, and they were like they turned him away, like they didn't want his games. So he went to Sony, and so all the Yakuza games had been with Sony consoles. But then they started slowly going over to Xbox because it's like, well, there's at least some people that like Japanese games or JRPG style games on other systems, and so it was really good for them to be able to branch out. And with Yakuza 7, it's kind of odd because it's technically a starting point. It's a fresh starting point, but it's the seventh game in the franchise. It's like same location but different characters. But then also it went from button mash, kind of like Final Fantasy 7 combat, to turn based. And it's like a huge change. And it's launching on Xbox, and so presumably it's going to launch on the PS5, and because it is, it's going to be on both consoles. It's not exclusive to one or the other. But it's just odd that Xbox is like promoting a Japanese game that is the seventh in the franchise that they are just now getting. I think they got Yakuza Kiwami and Yakuza Zero are on Game Pass right now. And it's a cool gesture that Xbox is trying to broaden their horizons to like other types of games, but they're doing it on the seventh one in their franchise, and I thought that was a little odd.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they are trying to show that they're opening up to more games, and especially if they've been known for not having them, I could get why they'd want to put a focus on, hey, look, we've got Yakuza now.
Yeah, and like in 2018, I think it might have been 20. No, it was 2018. They revealed there was a new Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer on the Xbox stage, and so everybody kind of lost their minds, like, oh man, this is crazy. But it was like, well, I mean, it's a third one, and they didn't release the all-in-one collection or the 1.5 plus 2.5 until like after 3 came out. So that was kind of odd. Like, who's going to want to play the third one in the franchise of Kingdom Hearts, which is like the most confusing series ever, without playing the first two games?
Yeah.
So it's they're trying, but I feel like they're throwing stuff on the wall, and they're grabbing whatever sticks, and hopefully that works for them. We'll have to see.
Yeah. Lastly, they had quote unquote gameplay
Yeah.
of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I did not see any gameplay in this. It just looked like another cinematic trailer.
I saw at the very best in-game cutscenes, which do not count as gameplay. But Ubisoft is notorious for doing this. They did this with Rainbow Six Siege. They did this with Watch Dogs. They've done this with Beyond Good and Evil 2. They are very terrible at distinguishing what gameplay is versus what they think gameplay is. And it's sad that on the first look into next generation gameplay, the biggest game that could have been announced, which is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, they flop on what the gameplay was. Like, you don't promote that it's going to be gameplay, and you show a cinematic trailer. Like, come on.
They literally open up right before they show that, and they say specifically this is going to be gameplay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool, I want to see what that game really looks like.
I did too.
And then they just show more cinematics. And I kind of feel like, A, yeah, Ubisoft definitely needed to not say that, but B, Xbox could also say, well, hey, there's no gameplay in this trailer. We're not going to open it up as gameplay trailer. You know what I mean? Like, this is both Xbox and Ubisoft kind of dropping the ball here.
Yeah, it's complete blatant, like, not false advertisement, but they're marketing the wrong way. Like, this wasn't. And I guess now that we've kind of gone through a brief, of each game, like, overall, this was supposed to be the first look into next gen gameplay. One, we didn't get really any gameplay. And two, when they had said, like, hey, we're going to be hearing from our global partners, I'm like, okay, it's going to be third party. Which, sure, a lot of this was third party, but it was also indie developers. You don't want to start next gen with indie developers. That's not a nod against indie developers. They take up a lot of space.
What you want to do is you want to come out,
swinging
the fences.
Yes.
With where's the next Halo? Where's the next Forza? show us what the console can really do. Show us, not just cinematics, because I mean, cinematics are right now pretty well capped out.
Yeah,
You know, show us something that looks next gen while you're playing it. Uh,
yeah. And like they even in the stream, did you watch the stream or just like the trailers?
I watched the trailer compilation.
Okay. So I had watched the live stream, so they kind of had like little intermissions between stuff. They had like a dude talking about
Yeah,
whatever, And so like they were talking up like how, oh yeah, we're going to be talking about our first party games in July. I'm like, okay, so why make a big deal about this if you're not going to talk about what people want to hear until 2 months from now? And by that point, Sony is probably already going to have all of their stuff out. And so with Xbox fumbling this as bad as they did, which I mean, I guess they didn't really fumble it, but the expectations were set incorrectly. All Sony has to do is put out a picture of their console and they're the talk of the town. And they can ride that hype until June 4th, which is the rumored, reveal for the PS5. And we all know Sony is going to go so hard when they reveal the PS5. You are
yeah,
going to see next gen gameplay. You are going to see just amazing worlds. And then they're going to have that market share until Xbox eventually comes out with their exclusives in July. But we all know that they're not really packing in the exclusive front right now. They could be, but I don't think it's going to be ready by July to announce.
yeah. I definitely have to agree with you. I think Xbox kind of ordered this a little funny,
Yeah,
like especially since this is like the first time they're really showing off some games for the next gen, and built up a lot of stuff on gameplay. You don't really want to start off with third party indie developers. You want to start by showing all your big stuff, and then you say all that stuff's coming out, and then like a little bit later you say, and we have indie developer support, these games are also coming out. Like, you don't want to be like, well, here's a couple like indie games, and the graphics are kind of meh, and stuff like that. You want to come out and really show off a big, why should we buy an Xbox Series X? Like, nothing I saw today really made me go, oh man, I got to get an Xbox so I can play that.
yeah, and like this is the last of what they're showing until we're assuming they have something planned in June. I think they're going to go over their services, that's going to be good for Xbox because they're definitely owning PlayStation on services. But we don't know what Sony has up their sleeve. So I'm sorry, June could hit. Sony could reveal the PS5, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, they just they went all out. Now Xbox has to answer to that, and this entire time I was questioning why Sony is being so quiet, but maybe now it makes sense. They were totally just waiting for Xbox to play their cards, and then now they have an entire month to answer to this.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing.
Yeah.
Um, One last thing I want to talk a little bit about, they kept bringing up was smart delivery.
Oh
And
man.
I think this is a cool idea, but there's a
They're not
couple.
explaining it.
No, there's a couple of details in here that I do want to kind of talk about. A, they open up by saying that if you buy a game on any of the Xbox platforms, whether it's PC, Xbox One, or Xbox Series X, you only have to buy the game once.
Yeah.
But that's not entirely true either. On the Madden, they ended up saying that if you buy the game like at launch, you can upgrade to the Xbox Series X um, by March, and then you can't without buying it again.
Yeah.
So to me, this is kind of like a bait and switch. Like, yeah, you can buy it once and have it on any platform in the Xbox franchise, but they're not saying that that's a limited time thing, which it is.
Yeah, and like they haven't fully explained what this is because let's say you buy Assassin's Creed Valhalla on the Xbox One. You get it on Xbox One. If you pop it in your Xbox One X, you're going to get the 4K texture support or whatever they're able to do with the incremental upgrade. So let's say it adds 4K at 30, 1080p at 60 on the Xbox One X. Well, the Series X is backwards compatible. So if you put that same Xbox One disc into the Series X, it should play it. Now, are you getting the upgraded version through that, or are you downloading a separate file that is the Series X version? Because those are two very different things, and they haven't explained it, and I feel like they kind of need to.
Yeah, there was a lot of ambiguity in what that term actually means, the smart delivery.
Yeah,
They keep in nearly all the videos, it pops up as a little box in the corner as they're trying to promote their stuff, but they never really stop and talk about what smart delivery really is or how it really works.
yeah, it's funny how it's called smart delivery, but no one really understands it.
So I think that was kind of intentionally left vague
Yeah,
because I think the whole intention here is going to be, look, you buy anything and it'll just work with any other Xbox stuff, but then there's going to be a little asterisk next to that, and then that's what's really going to irritate a lot of people. It's like, well, wait a minute, I bought this game and it said it would work on this, but now it doesn't because it's past this cutoff date. What's going on?
yeah, and they've. I think Microsoft, when they first announced smart delivery, which is just a fancy way of saying cross buy, which Sony has been doing for years, but when they had officially come out and announced that, they did say that it was up to the developers or the publishers. I don't know who's in charge of the release schedule. Maybe it's the publishers. So there could be like, oh, blah 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 is releasing the game on the Xbox, and then it's also going to be on the Xbox Series X, but they don't do smart delivery. And then all of a sudden, people are going to be mad at who? The publisher or Xbox? Probably Xbox. Or like, why are you promoting a service that isn't on every one of your games? And so
Yeah.
like they're kind of like they're shooting themselves in the foot, despite their other foot.
Well, that probably is why they've termed it smart delivery instead of cross buy.
Yeah,
Because if they just came out and said every game is going to be cross buy, I think people would understand what that means. And this isn't quite what they're doing. So they want something that's, a little bit different of a term that they have a little bit more wiggle room on.
yeah. So hopefully it plays out. I don't want to see Xbox like trip on their own feet again after they did the Xbox One reveal event. So hopefully they're because it only helps us by having more games. And
Oh yeah,
so
I mean, I definitely want to see Xbox succeed too,
yeah.
because no matter who ends up doing better, they're going to help the other one strive to be even better through competition.
Yeah, healthy competition is going to be better for everyone involved, and it's going to come down to, I hope, that it's just a matter of like some exclusives and some services that are really separating the consoles apart. But if they really got to nail how they're marketing this, and Xbox has been, there was this tweet from Phil Spencer about a week ago before the actual reveal event happened, and he has said that they want to be as transparent and as authentic as possible. But then they promote Series X gameplay Thursday, and then they show cinematic trailers, and so. But then on the exact opposite, Sony is just not saying anything, and so
Yeah,
it's like it's a very interesting transition into next gen.
I definitely think Sony really needs to get on the ball and start launching some trailers and some stuff like soon.
Just something like just give us something to latch onto.
All right. Well, I think that's about all we got for this week. Tell us what you think about it in the comments below.
Yeah,
Until next time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.